The Rams survive and advance. Thank freaking God. They win their wild card matchup against the Panthers, the rematch from earlier in the season, and they get the revenge. Survive and advance is the name of the game. And Mark, everyone, thank you. My heart couldn't take it. And we'll talk about how the Rams got to that victory right now on this post-game reaction episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Hopefully everyone's feeling all right after that victory. And if you're here on YouTube with us, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss this video, any other video like this throughout the rest of this postseason. And if you're on the audio only and or podcast only side of things, hey, share the audio, share the podcast goods too. And guys, any of those options helps other Rams fans see our content. And me and Mark, we're very much appreciative of all of that. And thank you. But everyone, take a deep breath. We made it. Survive and advance. The Rams win 34-31 versus the Carolina Panthers in the wild card round. I mean, thank the football gods, Mark. My heart could not take it.
Yeah, I don't remember a season like this where the games are just, there are so many games like this, and this might have been the worst or best, depending on your perspective. I was literally pacing back and forth in a 12-foot wide room with 12 seconds left, whatever it was. It was like, oh my God, why are they doing this to us? This team is so good. And yet sometimes you wonder, sometimes you wonder about this team. It's just crazy.
All right, it was crazy. Shout out to everybody from the SoCal Rams Booster Club who was hosting a watch party in Pico Rivera at Ami Hacienda, where it's a big party hall, big jumbo screens everywhere, fantastic audio, loud as could be. So I was there with family watching the game, so my voice a little jacked from yelling and stressing with a gazillion, 100 something plus people, probably 200-ish if I had to throw a number on it. Great time. So we were stressing in there, the ups and downs of a game. And look at playoff football. We've been a part of blowouts where we've kicked the other team's ass in recent memory with the Sean McVay crew and I guess regime, I should say. And those are fun in its own lane. But more times than not, everyone, let's just be honest with ourselves. Playoff games are going to be down to the wire, down to the final minute, 2 minutes of a game. And we got that, Mark, and my heart could not take it. And luckily, we are on the positive side of things, because if we would have lost, my whole rest of this month would have been ruined seeing other teams continue and advance. But we don't live in that timeline. We live in the good timeline where Rams got it done, Mark.
Yeah, and I have a buddy that's a Bucs fan, and he was texting me, what the hell are you guys doing? And I just had a simple response: playoff football on the road. This is what you get a lot of times. And, there's going to be a lot of naysayers. I've already seen one on the channel that have given up on this team based on what they saw. But, I think that's just silly talk at this point, because it's tough. You go on the road. I don't care what their record is. You got to give the Panthers a lot of credit. Just like Sean McVay said, they had a good game plan, especially defensively. We know what they can do on offense. I think they match up well against us, their offense against our defense. And we clawed it out, and we got a win. And that's all that really matters. Move on to next week. Although, I still have some concerns, but as long as we're alive and rolling into next week, I'm a happy Ram fan.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game, everyone. Survive and advance, live to play another week, and give yourself another shot to hoist, I should say, that Lombardi trophy. And the Rams did that, and it was stressful, but we got it done. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the game, everyone, we always like to throw and share some fun stats at you. And there were some really fun ones that me and Mark found earlier, and let's pull those up now. So with the win today against the Carolina Panthers in this wild card round, Sean McVay has won 9 playoff games in total in 9 seasons with the Rams. And that sentence alone is pretty nice, according to Greg Beacham. And then he also says, Greg, That's the same number the Rams have won in the previous 33 seasons before Sean McVay was hired in 2017. Let that soak in, everyone. 9 playoff games of won in 9 seasons. That was the same amount the Rams had won before Sean McVay in 33 years. I mean,
Yeah, I think those 33
wow.
years, the clock on that probably started ticking right after that Panthers overtime win, thereabouts, right?
Yeah,
33
I
years
mean,
since then. Yeah.
to the day, right? To the day
I
back in
know.
2004 where that team was good enough to win a
Yeah.
championship, the Mark Bulger, Greatest Show on Turf Rams version that was undefeated at home. We covered that in the game preview episode where that was a big upset. Damn you, Steve Young. I mean, Steve Young, Steve Smith, and Steve Young too. He got us a lot in the Niner days. But it's incredible, Mark. I mean, look at me and you, we've been objectively critical of McVay, and there's moments in today we'll talk about as well where there were some calls that I just didn't enjoy, but that's just how it goes. But there's no doubt about it. The greatest thing to happen to this franchise is the hiring of him and everything that has come with that. And we got to just take a step back, everyone, and just be grateful for the greatest era of Rams football. That's what it is. And games like today prove that, show that, and I'm thankful. I know you are too, Mark.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not a lot of fun watching this team recently, but the end result,
Yeah.
the end of the story has not been written, and
Nope.
until we find out what that final chapter looks like, I'm with this team. I'm 100% behind them. I think they still have perhaps the best roster in the National Football League. They just obviously got to prove it on the field.
Yeah, they got to prove it on the field. And here's another stat for you. And this is pertaining to Matthew Stafford, everyone. According to OPA stats, or OPTA stats, excuse me, on Twitter X, today was Matthew Stafford's 4th straight road playoff game with 300 plus passing yards. That broke a tie, and he's now number 1 in league history for the most consecutive games with that 300-yard passing stat in NFL history. He was previously tied with Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Now he is number 1 again with 4 straight road playoff games with 300 plus passing yards, Mark. Incredible. Incredible. So there's that for you, everyone. And then here's another great stat according to JB Long. Matthew Stafford in Rams postseason history is number 1 in completions, number 1 in passing yards, number 1 in passing touchdowns, and number 1 in wins, all in the postseason, everyone. And JB says, not bad. Less than 5 full seasons in LA. Mark, I think objectively, he's the greatest Rams quarterback in team history. Shout out to Roman Gabriel, who's won an MVP. Shout out to Kurt Warner, who's won multiple MVPs. Shout out to anyone else that was your favorite quarterback, everyone. But Mark, he's the best. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think of all those guys, and you go back to Bob Waterfield, Norm Van
Well, Waterfield
Brocklin,
too, yeah, of course.
yeah, those guys. But you know, Matthew Stafford is a serial killer among quarterbacks. He's just you get the ball, and I mean, he proved it again today. And like you say, shout out to these other quarterbacks, but I think that's what separates him. Is when we are watching this game and the Panthers scored with 2.5 minutes left. Did they really think the game was over? If they were, then they're just being really stupid because they forgot who was on our sideline ready to take the field, warming up, and they showed him warming up, ready to go get it. He's. I agree with you. Right now, he has to be number 1.
Yeah, and you know why else he should be number 1? Because of this fantastic quote that he said or I guess what he said to Devontae that was quoted. So shout out to Adam Grossbarty, who covers the Rams, does a good job. When he talking to Devontae Adams, Devontae said, before the game-winning drive, Matthew told Devontae, let's go snatch these guys' hearts. And Devontae said, one of the most gangster things I've heard. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
In the Tampa game, it was the soul snatcher, right? When we won the championship, divisional round where we stopped the comeback from happening against Tom's Bucks. And everyone's like, yeah, the soul snatcher Stafford, as Stafford did say, like, hey, man, you just got to snatch people's souls in that moment. And we got another great line here, and he did that exactly, Mark. I mean, the guy's a killer. If he wasn't your favorite Rams quarterback, I mean, how can he not be after performances in the past, today's performance? And he said this. I don't think Devontae's lying just for clicks. Devontae's a pretty up, straight up dude. But Mark, this is fantastic, dude. Love it.
Yeah, and that's where I had heard about this, and that's where I got my serial killer
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah, that's what you want in your quarterback, right? Jeez, I mean, it's not over till it's over with Matthew Stafford, and the thing is, moving forward, I don't expect any team to really to be able to put distance between the Rams in a playoff game moving forward. I think all the games are going to be pretty tight.
Yeah.
And that's just a big advantage having Matthew Stafford versus Sam Darnold, Matthew Stafford versus Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford versus Brock Purdy. I'll leave out Jalen Hurts because he may be the one guy that could maybe stand shoulder to shoulder as far as playoff production, playoff performance. But man, glad he's on our team for sure.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. And you know what else is I'm grateful. Again, Stafford making history, everyone. My God. And Mark, also talking about history being made by Rams players, Puka Nacua is also making history. He now has the record for the most receptions, catches, in a player's first 4 playoff games in Rams history. He just passed Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods with his performance today. And outside of the blocking and the receiving and the run game, right, taking handoffs on jet sweeps, I mean, the play he made on Nick Scott to break up in a likely INT. This guy's so valuable to the squad, man. And he'll go down as a Rams great if he continues this. I don't even think that's a question either.
Yeah, and there was that one play. Was it a scoring? Was it a run or a little screen pass where?
Yeah, a screen. I guess it counted as a run, right? But it was a screen pass.
Is that the one where, as it unfolded, I was like, oh well, that didn't work. 2-yard loss, and oh wait a second, there he is in the end zone.
I know.
Yeah, geez,
he's so good, dude. So again, everyone. Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to say it's very fitting this game that the same day that it was announced Stafford and Puka all pro, first team all pro. And especially for Stafford, all those Drake May contingents. The Drake May contingent was probably smiling as that game unfolded, but then that last drive, it's like, okay, maybe Stafford is the MVP.
Yeah, and we'll get to those nitty-gritty moments very shortly, but Puka is the guy, man, making history. Again, one more time for you. The most catches in a Rams' first 4 playoff games. He just passed Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, shout out to you, Woody, for the most in the first 4 games of a Rams career. I mean, geez Louise, man. We're so lucky to have these type of guys on our squad. But let's get into it, Mark, the nitty-gritty. I mean, 34-31. Look at the score bug here. It's just crazy, man. Right? Rams early touchdown. Rams 10 points, only 3 in the third quarter, and then they get 14 in the fourth. All right, Panthers on the other side of it, 0 in the first quarter, 14 in the second, 3 in the third, and then they get another 14 themselves, which is, I mean, it's just crazy how much back and forth that was, Mark. But, I mean, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the scoring drive, right? You look at Puka Nacua had the big catch and, the great, yes, what a great play design, right, Mark? Then Nacua it was counted as a run play, but screen pass. Chuba gets his. Mevis gets his field goal, and Bryce Young runs it in. I mean, just the first half, just in a snapshot, it was crazy, man. Crazy sequence of events.
Yeah, and people were saying the Rams were controlling this game early on. They got 2 short fields and cashed in, but I did feel like I was a little uneasy. We get out to a good lead, and sometimes when teams get out to a good lead, I have a theory that maybe that mentally they think it's already in the bag and they don't keep on pressing. And that may have happened in this game because the Panthers were clearly not going to go away and close the gap a little bit there, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, look, when they start out the game, everyone, where they're going for it, I was like, oh, that's going to be that type of game, right? They feel confident because they converted a lot of those last matchup, which is completely fair of Canales and his offensive philosophy going in this game. But we get the stop, Mark, right? In that moment, I'm feeling good. I mean, you're feeling good. And then we get the ball. methodical, great drive. Nacua comes out of the backfield, I believe my memory is right, kind of lined up, not necessarily hip to
Yeah.
hip with Matthew Stafford, but he's kind of lined up in a 2-point stance, runs out of the backfield, right? Completely open. A safety on Nacua. Yeah, effing right. Great pass. And then, we have a couple punts back and forth, right? And then luckily, Carolina, Bryce Young just misfires when he's trying to, what's he trying to do? Throw to Coker, I believe. Hits off Quentin Lake's pads. And I'm thinking, oh, Quentin, that was your moment. But luckily, Kobe Durant's right there. So, I mean, Mark, that whole first quarter, just to kind of sum it up quickly on that, it went the Rams' way beautifully. Fourth down stop, INT. Stafford was clean, looking good on that touchdown drive. I mean, I'm feeling good in that first quarter. What about say you?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was hoping to see is put some distance between them and the Panthers, and take
Yeah.
some stress out off of us, the fan base, and force the Panthers to be a little bit more pass happy. Because we,
Yeah.
just as Greg Olson said, and he was spot on. Their MO is to shorten the game, move the ball on the ground. But you get down 14-0, you're tempted to get away from that. But, I think the Panthers are, they could obviously prove they can move the ball through the air against us. Not, they're late in the game, not so much, but early on in the middle of this game, we had trouble with their passing game once again.
Yeah, we did. And that kind of begins in the second quarter, right? So Rams get the ball back again, everyone, and they have another fantastic touchdown drive where I thought it was a touchdown pass, but I guess it was just enough backwards where it counts as a run play where Nacua slammed it in. That was a great sequence of events. And we were talking before we went live, Mark, you and I, where we were like, oh, he's getting stopped. And then no, Nakua's just that dude. Bulldozes in, finds a way, gets smacked into the end zone basically. And of course, gets up, flexes on everybody. I mean, that was awesome. But of course, Carolina, man, Bryce Young throwing the ball well. They're running the ball efficiently. They're getting big chunks. And we got in a bad penalty, right? You get the bad penalty on Kobe Durant. Or I was like, oh, son of a gun, man. Where we got pass interference where he was, I think, in good position, Mark, but he just didn't get his head around it. So I understood the call. I was just pissed that it happened. And of course, they smash it in with Hubbard right after. But that was a bad sequence, right? Kobe was getting beat. You saw Emmanuel get beat. The secondary in the whole was just way too off the receivers, and they just drove down with ease, and the penalty made it worse, Mark, when they
Yeah,
scored.
that was a flashback to the first meeting between these two teams, right?
Yeah.
Very, very similar. Very, very similar.
So that was whack. But then, hey, Rams get the ball back. They get some good drives. Right. Higbee has that big seam route, which he's been money on his whole career, really. And I'm thinking, all right, there we go. But, pass, pass, pass. Couldn't complete anything. Mike Jackson's playing good against Devontae. So we kick a field goal. And I was kind of nervous at that point, Mark, with Mevis kicking the 46-yarder. But, hey, right down the middle. Shout out to him because I was not feeling good. I was like, oh, is he going to do it? Big pressure moment, and he delivered the thicker kicker. So that was nice, Mark.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that I'm not envying a moment where he has to kick a 54-yarder for us.
Yeah,
But we have a reliable kicker. That's all I'm
we
going to
do.
say about that.
Yeah. So look at the Rams and Panthers go back and forth, punt, 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 and Rams get the ball back at a decent spot. They're driving, but of course there's penalties. They're just getting in their own way, which is the story of this game, really. And oh, I was not opposed for going for it, right? We get the short pass to Higbee that sets up that 4th and 3. And I was in favor of kicking the field goal there, Mark, before halftime, right? Where it was about a minute 30 left. And I wasn't mad about them going for it. But when you don't get it, like when they didn't, right? Stafford rolled out. And there was a lot of people that were like, why didn't Stafford run for it? Guys, let's just be honest with ourselves. Was Matthew Stafford really, realistically going to get that first down? No shot in hell, I think. Mark, am I wrong on that? I think the pass was
No,
the only way they were getting it, right?
Yeah, there was a moment there as he escaped the pocket. It's like, oh, you got it, you got it. But then you take a look at that and his foot speed and some. I think they were line. I don't know who was closing in on him. He was
Yeah.
not going to make it, and he was going to probably take a hit as well. No, I don't want Matthew Stafford in that situation.
Yeah.
And I think, Higbee was open and needed to get the ball out a little bit quicker. He just misfired a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the aggressiveness, but of course, you get it. Everything's all swell. But in that moment, I definitely was leaning towards, hey, let's just get the points and see what happens. But they didn't get it. And of course, momentum is on their side now. And of course, Quinn Lake gets a big, big defensive pass interference penalty. What was it, like 30 yards, Mark? My God.
28
That was
yards,
a
yeah.
bummer. And then on the very next play, he gets beat. Coker down the sideline basically gets a big chunk. What was that, like 40 yards on that too? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this is how this half is unwinding. Then Bryce Young gets incomplete. Third and long. And of course, no Rams soul is in sight. Nate Lyman's one-on-one. He can't get the tackle. And then Bryce Young runs it in for, what was that, 10 plus. And I'm thinking, you got to be effing kidding me. What a disastrous end of half that was, man. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and I think people are banging on Nate Landman, and that's a tough play for a middle linebacker. It really is. And I let me ask this question for you right now, since we're talking
Yeah.
about it. Did Quentin Lake have a bad game?
Look he was rusty. And I have to look back at the film, which I will. And we'll do a film breakdown that'll come out, tomorrow night. Is my goal, everyone. Sunday night, I should say. So I'll look back at the film. Now, PI, the dropped INT, he got beat down the sideline. Overall, those are, some very standout moments, Mark.
Right.
And they weren't great. They were bad. Let's be honest.
Right.
I'll look
Yeah.
back at the film. I have to see how he was play by play, but there's no debating that in big moments, he didn't come through. Let's just be real about it. But again, on a play by play basis, he wasn't getting picked on. He wasn't getting attacked. So I got to see. But again, the big moments were bad.
Yeah.
But I think on a
And
play-by-play basis, it wasn't so bad, and you could argue it was good. But I got to look back at the all-22 film to really
yeah,
get a good idea.
I don't mean to throw shade on him. Obviously, we need
Yeah.
him back. And Scott Richmond alluded to this, that, hey, we don't necessarily expect Quentin Lake to come back and suddenly be
Yeah, he's
making all
rusty,
these
dude.
make all these splash plays. And he does
Yeah.
little things. He does defensive calls, helps with the defensive calls. So we need him back. We need him to get back into 100% form. But yeah, it was quite a little bit of a bummer to see him, getting TV time in a bad way in a
I know.
big game. But
Yeah. So again, those bad moments were bad, but again, I got to look at the totality of the film. But I would say he had a decent average game, I would say, just based on how everything else unfolded and he wasn't picked on. But I digress on that, everyone. So disaster ending, right? But the Rams are going to have a chance to get the ball back. And look at their kicker screwed up and missed the landing zone. So we got a good spot. And I was thinking, okay, let's end on a positive note. Let's get some type of field goal attempt. We'll see if Meebus can make it. He made 60 plus at Missouri when he was in college. So he has the leg for it. So at that moment, when we're starting out with great field position, I was like, let's go, man. Devontae gets a big pass. We go incomplete as we're trying to force feed it. And I'm like, son of a gun. But of course, Nacua, the sure-handed Rams great, as we talked about him a bunch earlier. I mean, Stafford throws a laser beam. Probably would have been a touchdown if he catches that go ball, that streak pass, and it hits him in the hands and he drops it, man. I was thinking, of course this is how the half would end. Let's just say he gets tackled there, Mark. Again, they probably got to go and spike it, and it's narrow, but at least you have a chance for points. But I think if he catches that, he probably scores and runs in the end zone, man.
yeah, I mean, Puka's the type of guy with the ball in his hands at that spot. He's probably going to score. But in his defense, and I have to look at it again. But it looked like as he turned, the ball was already in on him. It was
I know.
he didn't turn, and he wasn't quite ready for it. It was in on him before he could get his hands fully up.
Yeah.
Not to make excuses for him, still should have had it, but it may
Yeah.
have been a more difficult situation than it looks. I mean, it's still a drop, but it just seemed like it got in on him quicker than he expected as he turned for the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I chuckle because we see him make insane
I know.
catches every week, and that was probably the least insane he's had to make in a while, right?
Yeah.
Again, Stafford threw a laser beam because he had to, and it was God, what a great pass that was. But it's just funny. You see him do insane acrobatic catches, one hand last week, crazy toe taps where no one else could pull that off. But of course, the one that hits him in the hands, he can't bring in. It's just how that half ended. It was just deflating, and I was like, I can't believe how this is going, Mark. But
Yeah, that would have been a backbreaker for the Panthers,
yeah,
and remember he had a drop, a clear drop. Was it last week or the week before as well? So
yeah,
and not to, I know we're not talking about Devontae right now, but Devontae
I
needs
know.
to be a little bit better in that department as well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about all that ASAP. So I mean, that's how the first half ends, everyone. 17-14. Carolina made us pay as we didn't get any points on the drive where Sean went for it on fourth. And of course, Nacua can make the catch where we could have stretched this lead a lot more. So we enter that third quarter, everyone, and Rams start with the ball. And I'm feeling good at that point. We were texting back and forth. I was like, look, things are sloppy, but hey, I believe in the offense to get their act together. Defense, we'll continue to talk about them. But I told you, right? We texted. I was like, hey, dude, offense, I believe in. Just stop getting in your own damn way, and I think they'll score a lot of points on them. So they get the ball back to start the opening half mark, and for them to not do anything, 3 and out, I was like, oh, what are we doing? We didn't even run the ball once on that mark. That was frustrating. And of course, Carolina gets it. They have a long, methodical drive, right? 5 yard here, 5 yard there. Good pass by Bryce Young, being poised. Shout out to him. He was playing a good game up until that point. And luckily, we hold them to a field goal as I was worried they were going to score. But hey, Tremble couldn't get it. Byron Young, got pressure. Emmanuel Forbes and Landman were able to rally. So we hold them to a field goal. But I mean, 17-17 at that point, Mark. I mean, my God, I was feeling not great, man. The defense was letting me down, man, at that moment.
Yeah, it was weird. Even like when we had the lead, I felt like we were losing. It
I
just
know, dude.
did not feel like a winning. We were on the winning side, and yet we were. And then they tie it up, and you're just like, what is happening here? Hadn't given up hope though. I had a
Yeah.
feeling we were going to make some noise eventually. But that first possession, I thought of you, and I thought of Paul Walia, where you come out of the half, you get the ball first, and you throw three straight, I think three
Oh,
straight incompletions. Did we complete one of them? But it was three straight passes.
yeah.
Kyron and Blake not touching the ball.
Oh,
And I knew that you were on fire, and Paul Wally was probably on fire as well. Run the damn ball, and nope, that wasn't in the plan.
yeah. So that was brutal. And then, of course, they score points on their next possession, like we just mentioned. But the Rams get the ball back, right? And I'm thinking, okay, get your act together. Stop getting in your own way. And yes, Dedich is out there, and I know it's not perfect. And Panthers are playing with their hair on fire because it's a home playoff game. The home crowd was good for the Panthers. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Rams people who flew out there. I heard there was a decent Rams crowd as well. But hey, Matthew Stafford finally connecting with Devontae. Remember that deep in dig run? I was like, they have to get points here or keep the drive alive. That was good to see as he runs out of bounds. And then, I mean, damn, bro. Drop here, short pass there, another penalty where, I mean, man, oh man, Mark. There was a moment when Nick Scott went in to blow up Devontae Adams, like, please don't knock him out for the game. I had that fear because Nick Scott, he's famous when our Super Bowl run for decleating Debo Samuel almost, right, in the NFC Championship game, and he got Devontae good on that. But luckily, Devontae got up. We get the 15-yard penalty, which I was like, oh, man, we got lucky on that one. And look at incompletion here. You see Colby drop passes. Nacua can't connect, and we kick a field goal. And luckily, hey, Mevis was feeling better about him kicking that 42-yarder. And at that moment, Mark, I was like, man, we just cannot get out of our own way. And at that moment, right, Stafford's fingers hurting as he smacked it multiple times, got hit. You see him wincing. So in my thought, Mark, I was like, man, the passing game is going to suffer because Stafford's hands probably fat and swollen and his fingers probably ready to fall off. And we just keep throwing it and throwing it, and we just weren't having success. People are dropping passes. Stafford's whiffing a little bit as well. It wasn't good, Mark. I was getting worried at that moment, man.
Yeah, it was a messy game, and I feel you, man. It felt like it might have been slipping away. The
Yeah,
Rams they were in that stumbling, bumbling
yeah.
mode on offense, where just not clean, And this is how it's been for a little while. Where then they'll wake up for one or two drives, and we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
I think I've taught myself when the Rams are struggling on offense like that to take a deep breath and go, you know what? They're going to snap out of it. Don't give up on this offense because we've seen it time and time again. They will wake up. But at this point, I agree with you. I was contemplating an early exit from the playoffs.
It's
I
so
really
crappy because
was.
I felt that way. I'm sure many of you tuning in felt that way. It just the dread of this game just being close. And again, shout out to Carolina. They deserve the credit as well. And they were gutsy. They get the ball back again, Mark, in that third, and they're going for it. And of course, Dave Canales and them, I think that's the right opinion. Like, we just got to keep ourselves alive. And luckily, we get good pressure. They can't complete it to Chuba Hubbard as he kind of just has to force it. And I was like, yes, this is what we needed, defense. You were pissing me off the whole first half of this game pretty much and much of the third quarter. And I'm thinking, let's go. Rams got a decent spot field position. And look at good run, big time sack, right? Gibson gets him. I'm like, gosh, dang it. And of course, Matthew Stafford just whiffs on the out comeback route, whatever that was, to Devontae, and Mike Jackson gets him again. At that moment, Mark, I was like, we cannot cash in the big moments when the Rams defense helps us. I was so disappointed, man. And look, we got to give credit to the secondary of Carolina, Mark. I think that's fair. Mike Jackson's a good corner. J.C. Horn's a good corner. Morg's a good safety. Nick Scott, hey, a Super Bowl champion with us, has played good football. When they're fully healthy, they're legit, and they made plays. And at that moment, with Jackson getting us again, getting Stafford again for the second time around in this matchup, I was so deflated. I was like, man, the offense cannot get out of their own way. And at that moment, Mark, I thought Stafford's hand was jacked. I was like, he's just whiffing on passes. His hand's hurt.
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been the wind. Announcers didn't
Yeah.
really give us a good feel what the wind situation was. But Mike Jackson, he's an All Pro against us. He really is, man. He's just lights out. I mean, J.C. Horn, we don't hear his name called because I think most teams avoid him. And then Mike Jackson's getting targeted a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
But he answered the bell. He answers the bell against the Rams, that's for sure.
Yeah, they have a good secondary, like Morg, Scott, JC. Like, when they're on, man. And they were playing good football against our, Pro Bowl, All Pro guys on the outside there. So of course, again, the Rams couldn't cash in a turnover by the defense again. And I'm feeling, oh my God. And of course, what happens in the fourth, everyone, or end of third, pushing the fourth? A play or two later, Jalen Coker's just wide open running a deep in route and gets 50 something yards. And I'm thinking, why does this always happen, Mark? When things start to snowball, I mean, they really turn into an avalanche for the Rams, right? And after Coker gets that big pass, end of the third, I was like, oh my God, Rams defense is just not going to rise to the moment, Mark. And what happens? 2 plays later, Chuba smashes it in, right? Late Lemon gets the penalty right before that for like a helmet to helmet hit. I'm thinking, why? Why can't the Rams stop avalanches upon themselves? And we're down in this game, Mark, 24-20. I'm deflated at this moment. I'm thinking, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, and I'm not sure it would have mattered, but the penalty against Landman I thought was questionable.
I know.
It seems like the refs, the sideline refs, who was it? Was it Mike Pereira? Whoever it was, they usually defend personal foul calls, whatever the case may be. This one I thought was borderline. I don't think it was helmet to helmet. I think they
Yeah.
considered it a defenseless player. but he was on the sideline, and I don't know, man. I don't know what you can ask a linebacker to do. Maybe technically it was a penalty, but I didn't like that flag. But I had a feeling the way this game was rolling at this point in time, at this point in the game, it probably wouldn't have mattered. I don't think they're going to need the 15 gift yards. They were on their way to score. It seemed like, anyways.
It's deflating, man. It's like defense. Let's go. Can you get another good, defensive drive for us? And they just do not come through. Like when the Rams offense has a bad drive, bad moment, whatever, it seems like the defense never in these last, month of games has been able to come through as well. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of moments where you can be like, hey, Ian, this moment, this moment, this one. Sure. But when things start to snowball into an avalanche, they do. And again, when Coker caught that 50, deep in, and he ran for another 20 something yards and got like 50 in total on that touchdown a couple days later. I mean, I was just like, this defense, man. And Mark, let's just be honest about it. You and I talked about it in the game preview episode. We were objectively being real about it. We said, and everyone tuned in, you heard it as well. The Rams offense has to be the reason why they win a Super Bowl, because we don't have the full trust in the defense performing all 4 quarters, and we don't have trust in the special teams, which we'll get to, by the way. And in this moment, I was like, man, the defense is just going to lay an egg at that moment. And I was not feeling good. But Rams offense said, all right, Ian, we feel your negative energy in the air with everyone you're watching at that watch party. And the Rams get a good drive going. Devontae gets another big chunk. You see the run game. You see the short passing game going, right? And then we get to that 4th and 1 again, Mark, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, are we going to run it here again? And they did, and they got it. I mean, if they would have gotten stopped there, Mark, I would have been pissed. You and I also talked about this. Shout out to Joshio's tweets. He's a Rams new account that's doing great analytical stuff. If you follow me on Twitter X, I repost stuff. We shouted him out in our game preview stuff, referencing his stats. The Rams are a bottom 5 team running it up the gut on 3rd or 4th and short. They got stopped early in this game, and in this moment, Mark, they did it, and they got it. I was so happy, but man, I mean, your thoughts when that unfolded, that 4th and 1 where they said, screw the field goal, we're going for more.
I'm glad they did, but I was surprised they handed it off again. And it's kind of weird, because it seems like a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year. I mean, Kyron was gold in those situations. Seemed like, something happened. Maybe the Rams had just become too predictable in those situations. I like the little jet sweeps to Puka in those situations. Short passes to our tight ends. There's other ways of getting it done, but I'm wondering if I was texting my special assistant. I was like, "Hey, I don't think McVay is aware of these stats that Ian has been
absolutely
talking
he's not
because he keeps on going to it." But it worked this time, barely.
Yeah, and look, I'm a run the ball guy. I'm gonna get a Rams. I'm gonna do a custom one for that one day. But someone from the coaching staff, the analytical department, which the Rams have to have, let's be real. Someone's got to pull up Joshio's tweets. Someone get in contact with that man and be like, hey, Sean, you guys suck at running up the gut on 3rd and 4th down more times than not. But hey, got to credit McVay. He's not aware of that, and we pulled it off there. But, man, I was stressing when I saw it was a handoff, but we got it done. You see another good, chunk, little small yardage, right? 6 yards, couple yards here, couple yards there. And then I love this, Mark. We haven't seen this play in a long time. The Texas angle route out of the backfield from a running back. What that is, everyone, running back Kyron Williams, or any running back, is lined up in the backfield, right? Hip and hip with the quarterback, Stafford. And he runs like he's running to the outside, and he cuts it like he's slanting back in like a slant route. That name's like an angle route, a Texas route, whatever name you like. There's a gazillion names for it. And Kyron is so good in the passing game, in my opinion. He was good at Notre Dame. He's been good when he's been summoned in those, moments. Remember, everyone, he scored on that play against the Niners, and he did
the somersault.
Right. It's the same play. And that play is so money for this offense. And for whatever reason, McVay doesn't utilize the passing pass catching ability of Kyron enough, but he's so money on that Texas angle route. And thank God he scored on that mark. I was feeling so much better and relief. But damn, we got to use him more in the passing game. We've been hammering that, you and I, for months, it feels like. And little moments like that, big moments, I should say, is so clutch. And he needs to be involved in the passing game like that more. More Texas routes, more angle routes from Kyron. And that was beautiful. No looker, I think, on
Yeah.
that too, right? From Stafford
Yeah.
Mark.
It was interesting. You mentioned that 49er game because after that play, I texted my son as like I wanted a somersault there. Yeah, kind of a interesting fact about this game. Puka scores on a run and Kyron scores on a pass. So I wonder
Okay,
how often that combination has happened.
we'll take it. We'll take it.
Oh,
I mean, but man, oh man, the response that was absolutely needed in that moment happened. Stafford delivered, O-line delivered, and everything was in sync finally. And again, more Texas angle routes, McVay, from Kyron. He scores on that more times than not, it feels like. I have to look back and see what his percentage is, especially in the red zone. We need him more, and that was good that he pulled through there. But hey, Carolina gets the ball back, and they don't do jack till they squat. They go 3-and-out. And I'm thinking, let's go, baby. It's time to turn it on, time to get it going. But Rams, they get, a big chunk play to Nacua. But then, of course, they can't get out of their own damn way, Mark and everyone. Holding penalty on Dedich, of course, our backup lineman. Incomplete, right? More short stuff, right? We're just in a bad spot. And I'm thinking, we got to punt. And of course, the dark side of special teams showed up. Tanner Ingle, brother. I mean, damn, bro. We're not asking you to bulldoze people in the blocking, but just hold your own. He whiffed. It gets blocked. Luckily, it wasn't scooped and scored or scooped and ran for more yardage, Mark. But I was like, of course, special teams showed its ugly ass face. I couldn't believe it, Mark, but I could believe it. I mean, cheese the effing wheeze, dog.
yeah,
Really?
I have some thoughts on that play. You know, Tanner Ingle gets promoted, I think, for the second straight week to play special teams. So our new coach must love him and wants him because he's great in coverage and punt coverage. And I think he is. But I think it's a double-edged sword. I think what happened there, and I could be wrong, but my eyes are telling me that he was so eager to get downfield, he gave up the block. He did like a chip block and headed downfield. I don't think he really so much as whiffed as thought, hey, I did my job. I'm going to go down and get this sucker catching the punt now. And yeah, it was not good. And maybe they've obviously made some changes here on special teams. They're missing Sean Dolak. They bring in Tanner Ingle. Nick Hampton might have been in on the special teams as well. So they've made some changes, but that schematic change of having Tanner Ingle holding a block on the edge, they may not. They may make a change there.
I mean, the way the Rams in the McVay Snead era evaluate special teams just has to be completely overhauled. With the guys they're bringing in, with the focus that's needed for that position or position group, I should say, guys that are forced to play those special teams backups, they just don't give a damn enough, it feels like. And I'm not saying they don't care or they want to be bad or whatever, but I feel like the time and energy for the backup players, right? Secondary guys like Ingle, linebackers, linemen, wide receiver, whoever, their focus is probably way more into offense and defense than it is special teams. And it's been showing up for years now. And it's sickening to see in a playoff game like this with 4 minutes left in a do or die moment where you're barely up by a field goal and it to melt down like that. This week and for future weeks, hopefully this playoff postseason run, and obviously the beginning of next season, Mark, everyone. I mean, they meaning McVay, Snead, and everyone involved, they have to do a complete overhaul of who they bring in and how they value that and how they teach it and how they get guys to be motivated to give a shit about special teams. it's just unacceptable, man. And it's crazy that in this moment that we had a blunder, but I'm not shocked. Ugh.
Yeah, it sucked. It really did suck. And at
Right.
that point, we'll talk about the ensuing drive there, but yeah, it was once again contemplating a the end of the Rams season. This
Yeah.
took one play.
And of course, Panthers are set up with great field position. I think they're starting around the 30-yard line, if my memory serves me correct on that. And when the avalanche begins, it's taking over everything and engulfing everything. T-Mac McMillan gets a big, conversion, and he's pretty dang open, right? Manuel Forbes and others just had a terrible day against him, no matter who it was. My God. Chuba gets a nice run. They're in 2nd and 3. And I'm thinking, God, they're going to score, aren't they? We force a 3rd down as Nate Landman gets a big, swat down. I think Quinn Lake was going to tackle him on that moment, the tight end running to the angle. So not that I thought that was going to be some big, impactful play for Carolina. But I'm thinking, okay, let's just hold them to a field goal. Please, defense, save the moment. Save the day for the offense, special teams, whatever. That side of the ball not coming through. And they couldn't do it, Mark. It seemed to me, I'll look back at the film, they're running man-to-man. And why do you want Cam Curl in man coverage? That is not what he's good at. So, of course, they run a good combination around. I think it was like a slant corner. And, of course, Coker's open on the corner. And, again, one more time for you guys, everyone. I think Cam Curl's a good traditional strong safety. I think he tackles. I think he plays physical. I think he can play some zone coverage. But man-to-man is not his thing and has never been his thing. So why are we doing that against a good receiver like Coker? Stupid ass play call, in my opinion, by Chris Shula. And it's not a shock that they scored on that. And then, there we are, Mark. 2.5 minutes almost, and we're down 31-27, down by 4 points. At that moment, I'm here at the watch party. People are so dead silent, shocked, disappointed, couldn't believe how, again, when things go bad for the Rams, they go very, very bad. I mean, golly, Mark, everyone, just a terrible sequence again. And again, Cam Curl, why is he playing man coverage there, Mark? Tell me.
Yeah, I'll back up one play. I don't know if you noticed this, but I think Quentin Lake was 2 steps away from a 70-yard pick six on that tip
Well,
pass from Len.
maybe,
But that aside, but
yeah.
I was seriously bummed when they scored, obviously. But I looked at the clock, and I looked at took into consideration what this Rams team is made of, and I wouldn't say I had a good feeling, but I knew it wasn't over.
Yeah. But I was deflated. And again, we said in the game preview, Mark, like the defense, just hit your average for the year. 20 point something points per game given up. I was like, if they just do that, I believe the Rams could hit their average, at least 30. But here we are, this defense getting shredded by Bryce Young. I think the schemes weren't good today. And at the moment, I'm like, man, this defense lost us the game. Of course they did. I was feeling that way. I was. But again, you're right. 2.5 minutes left or so. Matthew Stafford, being the amazing MVP caliber player that he is, I definitely went into that thinking, okay, I believe in Matthew Stafford. I believe he can do it. But is it going to happen? That was my thought, Mark, and my thought, everyone. Are guys going to drop passes? Are linemen going to have holding penalties? Are receivers going to line up off sides like it was early in the game? So stupid ass shit like that. I was just thinking, are they going to execute together to allow this comeback to happen? Because we know Stafford could do it. And Mark, amazing what we witnessed.
Yeah, it
Amazing.
really was.
Now, we got to preface this by J.C. Horn was out. He got banged up, and he wasn't in the game. And that matters. I totally get that. So if Panther fans are here watching this reaction video along, hey, shout out to your squad. You gave us a good battle. But we recognize that one of the, a Pro Bowl level player guarding receivers was not out there. Totally get it. But No one's complaining about it. Game goes on, right, Mark? So you see a good pass to Devontae. You see another short one to Devontae. You see Nacua get another great in dig route. I'm thinking, let's go, baby. We can do it. We can do it. And then, of course, Devontae drops one. And I'm thinking, no, Devontae, no. He had some other drops earlier, right, Mark? Wasn't getting as open as we would hope. But again, he hasn't played in a while. I think he was rusty, to be fair to him. You see Konate get a good, catch and run, die for the first down. And look, we're down to a minute. We're around the 20-something yard line? I'm thinking, all right, man, let's just take it easy. Let's get a good play call, Sean. I believe in Matthew Stafford to do it, but let's get some good play calls in. And of course, we got to pass it. Running is really not that much of an option. And thank you, Colby Parkinson. Stafford looks back, dissects, sees the one-on-one, and throws an absolutely beautiful back shoulder pass. And Colby, man, he's had a good run this last handful of games. He had a really terrible game against Seattle and, a rainy, wet game where he dropped passes, but he came through on this moment, man. The man who was considered a free agent bust last season. We talked about it. We said that, and I know many of you agreed with that. In the biggest moment of his playoff life, his football life, let's just call it what it is, made an insane catch on Morig, who is a good safety, didn't play in the last game, played good in this game up until that moment. And I'm thinking, it's in his hands. It's in his hands. And I saw 1 foot, 2 foot, and I'm thinking he caught it. Then I see him trounce into the end zone, and I'm thinking, oh my God, we scored. I can't believe it. And they showed a quick replay, and it was clear and obvious that he was in. And I'm thinking, oh, Matthew, you saved the day, man. You saved the day. And again, respect to Colby, man. He's gotten a lot of shit from us, a lot of shit from the fan base for a lot of bad moments as a Ram, and a lot of positive for his good moments this season. But this is the biggest play of his football life, Rams life, and he came through, man. He came through. Shout out to you, Colby.
Absolutely. And he made a really nice catch. I think it was on the Rams opening drive as well. One-handed catch on a little swing pass.
That's right.
And he's been playing, he had a little bit of a dip in Seattle, like you said, but he's had a really good season. I mean, he's had a great season.
Yeah.
And to cap this, so hopefully it's not his last great play of the playoffs. But man, Greg Olson said it, and we've been saying it, and he echoed what we've been saying. Rams have probably the best tight end group top to bottom in the National Football League.
Absolutely.
And, it was kind of funny how he put it. It's like that's the fourth best thing this offense does, and they're incredible. And then that was well before he said that, well before the Parkinson catch. So, yeah, it's kind of sweet.
It's look, earlier in that game, we were going heavy 13 personnel. Then we got away from it, a lot more 11, and things were getting wacky. But isn't it ironic, Mark? When we get back to 13, defenses just have a hard time playing us. And a lot of 13 to score in that fourth quarter, and a lot of 13 on this drive. 11, of course, mixed in. But isn't it beautiful? A tight end catching a game-winning touchdown, and it was a sick-ass pass and an even more sick catch. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, Matthew, I love you. Thank you for being our quarterback and not going to the Raiders or the Giants in the offseason, even though that would have been a stupid move. But thank you, everyone, for getting that done. That's what my mind went to, right? In an alternate timeline, he's not the quarterback, and this moment doesn't happen. And I'm still worried, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
38 seconds left. Carolina has all 3 timeouts. Maybe they get a good return. All they need is a field goal, and it seems like kickers don't miss long field goals against the Rams. So I'm thinking, damn it, it ain't over till it's over. I was talking to all the people sitting around me cheering. I was like, I'm happy we celebrated that touchdown. I was like, it ain't over till it's over. I've seen too much dumbass stuff happen to this team late in games, and the defense came through, Mark, everyone. Finally. And not that they haven't had good moments in this game stopping them earlier, but there was a lot of bad where they were not coming through. And incompletion, right? Forcing it. I was thinking, oh, get them to the ground, man. They will ice this game. And call a timeout. I'm thinking, all right, Chris Shula, There were some bad play calls in this game. Let's get your best right now. And luckily, Panthers receiver drops it. They had a moment to catch it, call a timeout, and luckily, man, in the biggest moment, they could not get it down to Horn. And thank God, Mark, game over. I'm so relieved, cheering with all the SoCal Rams guys and everyone in the watch party. I'm thinking, yes, we survived, right? Survive in advance. But oh my God, I mean, this game, my heart, my anxiety, even right now, my chest still feels a little bleh from all the yelling and
Yeah.
back and forth. But they did it, Mark. I mean, they did it. They did it, and it was so much drama, so much insanity. But
Yeah.
one more time, I mean, the 14 points in the fourth quarter by Stafford, clutch.
Yeah, that last series, I was texting my son. The Panthers had the ball with however many seconds were left. I said, "This is where we need AD. This is where we miss AD."
Yeah, dude.
But hey, let me ask you a question because
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn on this. You watching that last drive? The Rams were bringing the heat, all just full 100% pressure. How do you feel like Verse and Young played in this game? I'm kind of torn. I thought there was a lot of harassment of Young throughout the game. We got to him a couple of times, and it may not have been Verse and Young putting him on the ground, but they were
Yeah.
bringing pressure. And then I'm hearing people saying that I've heard two different Ram fans tell me that they didn't deliver, they didn't show up.
L-
Go
I'll
ahead.
say this about the pass rush. I think this team has been too reliant on stunting, or you hear other names for it where basically everyone, long story short, you have multiple pass rushers, usually just two. They line up in one spot, they attack one way at first, and then they'll crisscross or they'll warp around to try to get themselves free. Stunt, crisscrossing, whatever name you like to call it. Rams have been doing a bunch of it, and it's not working. Not working to the effect of getting sacks, or like when Bryce Young ran for that touchdown run and Lamon was one-on-one and he had no shot on it. They stunted on that, which left the lane open for Bryce Young to run through and get away. So I think they've been really relying on that. It hasn't been working in terms of getting quarterback sacks. Now, there's times they're getting pressure and all that, which is great. But damn, they got to find a way to just win one-on-one straight up. I appreciate the crisscross stunts and all that stuff, and there's moments to do it. I'm not saying never not do it, but it seems like they're really trying to do a lot of that, and it's just not cashing in enough. F it, man. Let Jared bull rush and get pressure. Let Kobe get a swim move, or Braden. I mean, these guys have the ability to win one-on-one, and they have to be better. I agree. But it feels like we're getting way too much stunts that just aren't cashing in. And again, the pressure's there. Pressure's good, but most of these pressures, they got to get the quarterback on the ground. And not to say Puna didn't and others didn't get Bryce Young, but we expect more from this group, and we got to see more because pressure's great, but there's still moments where a quarterback could
Yeah.
run. There's moments where a quarterback could still throw a pass. And we think we just saw too much of that tonight, and they got to get that corrected. But they came through in the
Yeah.
end, though, Mark.
Yeah, and yeah, I thought they played well late. And in their defense, it's not like they're getting coverage sacks. A lot of sacks come because your back end's playing well, and I think quarterbacks get rid of the ball quickly against us because we play this off coverage,
Yep.
and our cornerbacks have not been very, at times, not been good.
Yep.
But they seem to be playing with heart and coming close a lot and
Yeah, I know.
hurrying the quarterback, certainly hurrying the quarterback. So I'm kind of torn. I hesitate to say that they didn't show up or they didn't play well. But yeah, the
No, I don't.
still,
Yeah, I disagree with that. People say they didn't show up either. Again, the pressure is good. They got a lot of pressure, but too much stunting that's not equating to sacks, in my opinion. And the guys just got to step up in general, and they survived it enough. But hey, a lot of important drives they pulled through, and a lot of important drives they did not. And that's the yin and yang that you and I were worried about. But luckily, the offense with an MVP quarterback saved the day, everyone, right? Let's pull up some of those team stats so we can look at it from a grander view, right, Mark? So total yards, Ram won that battle with 411. Rushing yards, Rams won that battle with 116. Passing yards, 295 officially as of the moment, right? First downs tied with Carolina with 21, which is crazy, right? Passes for first downs, Rams won that battle with 16. Running rushes for first down, Carolina won that. They had 5, Rams had 4. Rushing average, Rams won that with 4 yards per carry. Not bad, as Carolina played some good run defense, in my opinion. Passing yards per attempt, Bryce Young had 6, Matthew had almost 7. Interceptions throw, right? 1 for Stafford, 1 for Bryce Young, as they both misfired. Fumbles lost. Luckily, on the punt, my God, we got lucky on that one where they muffed it. We won that battle. Rams had 5 punts. Carolina only had 3 penalties. Rams had 9, probably the most penalized game of the year, Mark, which is,
Oh yeah,
they did it to themselves.
yeah,
Offsides with the receivers, Devontae
yeah.
offside, holding. I mean, they penalties, PIs, roughing the pass,
There,
roughing. Ugh.
there was that one play where I think it was Xavier. I saw it before the snap. I said, "What's he doing on their side of the ball?" It was so obvious.
Louise, you're right. When he was lined up in the slot there, that was irritating. And then, hey, Rams had the 2 sacks, so were a big difference. And then Rams won the time of possession by not much. They had 31 minutes, 46. Carolina had 28 and 11. So, I mean, you look at it objectively, everyone, from the game stats, team to team. Luckily, everything for the most part went the Rams' way, and they won the game. It would have been terrible if all these would have been Rams, and they still found a way to lose, right, Mark?
Yeah, and they're I keep track of big plays, the
Yeah.
big game changing plays, and by my count, more of them went the Panthers' way. And that's not to say that I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's luck. It happens on the field, but there was and this happens. Playoff football on the road. You got to expect things to go against you that might not go against you at home. It's just the way it is. It really is. So that's the one positive takeaway from this is that the Rams, a lot of things went against them in this game, some of it their own fault, but
Yeah.
they overcome a rowdy crowd, loud as heck,
Yeah.
not the ideal weather situation, and they came away with a win. So for that, we should be a little proud of this team, in my
I agree.
opinion. I know some disappointment. We've already talked about all the shortcomings, but man, this team lives to fight another day. That's all that really matters.
And I totally agree with that. And the big plays do matter. And we made some big ones to save the
Yeah,
day. Thank you,
right.
Matthew. Thank you. My goodness. But let's pull up those passing charts, right? Matthew officially, after some, back and forth with team stats, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, an INT. He threw that screen pass into Nacua. Could it be 4? Sure, but they're counting that as a backwards pass, like a lateral, so it's a run play, right? God, Bryce Young, 2 total touchdowns, right? He had 1 passing, 1 rushing, almost threw for 300 yards himself, excuse me. Kyron, only 13 carries. I got to see more, man. That's the only thing. Him and Blake, they got to get the ball more.
That's crazy.
It's just, this McVay just so pass reliant. I get it. You have an MVP quarterback, but we can run the ball, and Carolina, based on all the advanced metrics, based on the last matchup in week 13, we had a serious advantage in that department. And, I just feel like we just didn't run it enough, but we survived, right? Chuba, Rico Dowdle, ran the ball decently. Chuba had 2 touchdowns. Nakua's, 1 rushing touchdown, which is funny. He obviously the 111 through the air, 1 touchdown, obviously had the drop. And I mean, the Nick Scott pass breakup, Mark, I mean, that saved the day. So Nacua gets an extra bonus. Shout out for that, where, Stafford chucked it. And luckily, we got the 4th down right after that. And that was scary. So, tip my cat to that, Nacua. And then Jalen Coker had 134 and a touchdown. My God. McMillan balled out on us too. I mean, we haven't been able to stop those guys, and we survived today, Mark. As Braden had a sack, 2 solo tackles, Gibson had a sack, and then shout out to Kobe Durant getting his INT, and then Mike Jackson got us too. So you look at the stats, pretty even based on how some of these performances went, but luckily Stafford throwing the 3 touchdowns, that was the main difference, right?
Yeah, and statistically, especially in the run game, it was a really odd game. You expected both of these teams to lean on the run more than they did.
Yeah.
Hubbard had some moments. Rico had barely, he was pretty much invisible. And yeah, I didn't even realize till just now that Kyron only had 13 carries. That's crazy.
Unacceptable. Yeah. So hopefully in the next round, Coach McVay, we get that man, and I know Blake Corum eats carries too, but just that total, this Kyron should have more than 15, pushing 20. It doesn't matter if Blake's getting carries. That's just unacceptable in my opinion, especially in playoff games. But we survived it. Kyron got a touchdown in the receiving game, so that's nice. As we look up the charts, right? Kyron 13 carries, Blake 11. Both of them averaging about 4 yards per carry. So it's solid, right? I mean, that's always falling forward. Always, it's always setting yourself up for a second and manageable, a third and manageable, right? Good to see that at least. Stafford, right? 42 attempts, 303. Nacua averaging 11 yards a catch. Devontae averaging 14, right? I was worried about you and I talked about, we were worried about his presence early in those games, some drops late in the game, of course, as well. But that's nice to see his average on that mark, right? 5 for 72. Tyler had his 45 yards. Colby only 2 catches. The screen in the game winner, crazy. And then Kyron, a couple catches, right? He had a touchdown. And then Konate and Blake as they were the next guys. But I mean, look at that, Mark. If you look at the receiving, other than Konate getting his one, I mean, a receiver, there's just nothing else going for us. But luckily, the tight ends are the next guys to make plays, right?
Yeah, it was really nice to see Mumfield. He made a very important contribution on that last drive. And I have to tell you, maybe we missed it. I don't know if you mentioned it in our rundown of the game. Stafford with the 2-yard keeper converting a
Oh,
first
that's
down.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Don't see that very often.
With his rushing.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of amazing because the announcers all game long were talking about Stafford struggling after banging his finger, and the Rams offense just looked out of sorts. And then you look at the final stats. He's got 300 yards, north of 300 yards.
I know. It's just he was clutch, man, when we needed him to be, and that's the name of the game, ain't it? So that's the offense. I mean, defense, 10 total tackles for Nate Landman. Cam Curl, 10 total tackles as well. Quinn Lick at 6. Forbes at 6. Kitchens 3. Braden 2. Puna 2. And of course, Quinn had some big pass deflections. Again, like we talked about, little rusty, had some bad moments. I'll look back at the film. I think overall, you could probably say he had at least an average game. And then, Nate Landman, coverage stuff is not his game. Running down quarterbacks is not the name of his game either. But you want these guys attacking downhill. Same with Curl. You want them involved in tackling more than running around defending guys in man-to-man all the time. Right, Mark?
Yeah, it's by the way, I took a snapshot of the top tacklers here. There's a bunch of other guys obviously that had tackles,
Right.
but yeah, and I have to wonder, maybe better than I, but you would think, when the Rams run these stunts, this is a play call that's made by Landman, right? Or is that does the guy with the green dot make the stunt calls for the defensive
No,
lineman?
it's Shula. It has to be. I mean, does Landman have freedom to audible? I'm sure he has some type of
Well,
freedom,
well, what I'm
right?
getting at is Landman knows they're stunting.
Yeah.
Right.
But the
So,
goal is you're going to get home and you're not going to leave wide open lanes for a quarterback to run, right? That's part of the execution of it all as
right,
well. So,
right.
everyone just has to be in junction with each other. But then also, play calling has got to be in tune as well. And I thought Chris
Right.
Shula didn't have a good play calling day, in my opinion, at all. At all. So
Yeah.
we survived it, right? Our talented players made some big plays, but more times than not, they were getting got, man. So to your point of, is Nate Landman deciding the stunts? No, because that's a call from Shula, right? Based on whatever they say. They can say, hey, Tiger left, cover 3 buzz. I'm just making something up, but Tiger could be like a certain cross. I know we called that when I played. So Nate Landman sure has some say over some stuff sometimes, but it's on Shula. All that's on Shula.
Yeah. No, what I was getting at is, like on that one play, Landman looked pretty exposed on the stunt. Now,
I
does
mean,
he
yeah.
play it? Does he play his position a little bit differently when they're stunting like that in that situation as far as pitching in to contain the quarterback if he decides to leak out because I guess it's part of the plan and execution. If it is the plan, he's not the right guy to with that responsibility. Is
Yeah.
what I was getting at, I guess.
No, I get it.
But
Yes, but
we bang on the defense. They did do a good job in run defense, and that's what I was most worried about. Silly me, but we contained the run pretty well.
yeah, it's better in that department, but we still got cooked in the air, and
Right,
Bryce Young
right,
got us, man, which is
yeah.
got to get all that cleaned up, everyone, or this team may not advance. But luckily, the game ball's right. Colby, Mevis, Stafford, the interior of the D line for holding up in the run game, right? I agree with that, Mark, to your point. I
Yeah,
mean,
and for everyone's awareness, I put this together in a
I agree with all of it.
vacuum. Um,
Yeah,
so that was just how I felt about it.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Again, to the run game, better. They didn't get,
Oh,
smashed 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards like they did the last matchup, but you know, need to see more in general from the front seven and just the defense as a whole, man. As I mean, everyone, it's it's the name of the game is survive and advance, right? And the Rams did that. And we can be upset with the defense and the special teams, which is rightfully so. We can be critical of how things are called, both offense, defense, and special teams. But in the moments where players and coaches need to step up, the Rams did just enough to win. And I think that in itself is something to be happy about, something to celebrate, right? I'll look back at the game film and I'll be like, well, that wasn't good. Well, that was bad. Oh, what was up with that? And of course, that'll be, the nitty gritty of it all. But in totality, eagle eye view of it, right? Objectively from the sky, Mark, we got to be happy that they won and just getting another opportunity to play in the second round of this tournament is a big deal, man. Being one and done would have been a disaster, and they avoided that, thankfully.
right. And this team, someone said about a month ago, maybe the Rams are peaking too early, and maybe they're on to something, but they
Yeah.
can have a second peak. They could get it
Yeah.
together. Kevin Dotson maybe come back next week. Quentin Lake dusting off the rust a little bit more. And Roger McCurry made a play or two in this
Right.
game.
He
So
did, yeah.
yeah, so there's hope. Hey, what? How good is it for us Ram fans to be? We're almost crying because we snuck out of the wild card round and advanced. And
Yeah.
man, we're so spoiled.
We are spoiled. I mean, look at like we talked about at the beginning of this episode. This is the best era of Rams football. McVay's 9 playoff wins is more than the last 33 years prior to his hire. So a lot of suffering that's gone on my entire life, pretty much, and majority of Rams fans' lives, from the late LA Rams era, or 1.0, I should say, to the majority of the St. Louis era was a disaster. And shout out to his organization pivoting from Jeff Fisher, getting McVay in here, and things have been enjoyable. Super Bowls, playoff appearances, fun, crazy wins like we saw today. I agree, Mark. We're spoiled. We're spoiled for sure. But I mean, man, everyone, as of right now, as we record, Packers are winning this game against Chicago. So if that happens, Packers get the dub as a 7 seed. Niners win tomorrow, or their matchup against the Eagles. Then Rams will have a home playoff game against San Fran next week, which I will go to Saturday or Sunday. Got to show up and support the squad against the Niners, who are going to be talking that shit if they win. Like, oh, we're going to invade SoFi again, Levi South, all that dumb shit. If things go that way, everyone, let's get some tickets if you can afford them and show up and show out for the Rams. More blue than red. Let's at least get 50-50 like it was the last time these two teams played each other in a playoff game, a la the NFC Championship. So, again, Packers win. You probably would want to root for the Niners so we can have a home playoff game. Now, if you hate the Niners and say screw them, totally get that. But we'll see the scenarios, Mark. Do Bears make a comeback? Do Eagles win? I mean, there's so many different ways this is unfold. I mean, Eagles, Bears, Seahawks, and Niners, they're all on the table as of we're recording right now. But at the end of the day, screw it. Bring on whoever. We got to get through everyone to get to a championship anyway, right?
Yeah, just remember who you root for has no impact on the outcome of the game. So just sit back and enjoy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we'll get who we get. My money is the Eagles winning tomorrow.
That's probably
This
right. Yeah.
Bears Packers game. If you've noticed me leaning to the side, I'm trying to take peeks at what's going on. I got it in the background here, and man, it's a weird ass game. Caleb Williams. I'm not feeling it for Caleb Williams tonight, but
Yeah.
they still have a shot here.
Yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, hey, you play, we're going to play. But selfishly, I would like to have a home game to go to
Oh yeah,
next
yeah.
week. At least one for this season instead of all of them being on the road. And let's be honest, home game in a controlled environment where rain and snow and wind and sleet and whatever crappiness that the earth could bring through the sky will not be a factor. I like that in favor of our offense instead of going to a cold Chicago or a cold Philly or a cold Seattle. Even though I'm not afraid of those teams, I just think a home game where the offense could shine its brightest, I think, is more in our favor, right, Mark?
Yeah, and this revenge tour is shaping up pretty well for us. We lost at Carolina. We went
Yep.
there and beat them. We
Yep.
lost at Philadelphia. We
Yep.
lost at Seattle. And we
Yep.
lost at home to the 49ers.
I know.
So all three of those possibilities that we didn't play the Packers, all three, and we wouldn't be playing the Packers this week or next
Yeah.
week, regardless. I don't think, right? But
Correct. Yeah.
all three of those matchups are we return to the scene of the crime to set things right.
Yep. And F them. Bring on whoever. But
None of them want to. None of them want to play us.
no, look at we have our qualms and worries about this squad, but look at any other opponent. It's like, yeah, we gotta play the Rams. We gotta play MVP Stafford, McVay, that squad, a lot of experience. Ugh. So I totally get it. And bring on whoever. But hey, enjoy the weekend of games, everyone. Enjoy this victory. It was a fun game. This will probably go down as like a wild card classic game, right? Another comeback victory for Stafford's Hall of Fame career. That'll be notched into his resume, into the McVay resume, into the Rams' historic resume. So enjoy it. Craziness. Whether you watched it at a watch party like I did, whether you're with family like Mark, or you're at a bar, club, wherever else, man. Hope you guys had a good time. Hope you enjoyed all the mini, anxiety and heart attacks that me and Mark had. And I'm sure maybe you suffered a little bit as well. But I mean, go Rams. Gosh dang it. Support the channel, like it, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, share the audio, share the podcast, send the link to all your fellow Rams fans. That helps, the community see our content. And me and Mark, we very much appreciate it. Right, Mark?
Absolutely. And hey, yeah, people have been saying it across the NFL. The Ram fans or not, man, this is a fun team to watch, for better or worse.
For better or for worse. And let the MVP quarterback lead the way, as I believe in him to be able to get it done. And as long as he is upright, has a chance to win it, I think we have a shot to beat anybody in this whole playoff tournament that will remain after tonight and tomorrow. So, hey, rep your blue and gold, rep it proud, rep it loud. And no matter where you are, you always got to throw up the horns, and you know what to say. Go Rams, baby.